Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, this is KCAL9 News at 4.
Now at 4, twice in 1 week, an LAFD ambulance and now an LAPD SUV. Both swiped, both led police on dangerous chases. Hello everyone, I'm Juan Fernandez.
And I'm Lena Wynn. The LAPD had to chase one of its own SUVs. Someone got into it after officers got out, and then he took off.
KCAL9's Dave Lopez is live with how this happened and what's going on with city vehicles being swiped off the streets. Dave?
Well, Juan, it could be the policy, who knows, but there is a thorough investigation going on in the building behind me. That's the LAPD headquarters. Just down the street is the headquarters for the city fire department. It probably has happened before, but maybe not in the same week. You had an ambulance from the fire department stolen, and you had a squad car from the LAPD stolen in the same week, days apart, and the chase was on. There he goes, trying to elude the LAPD in the stolen LAPD SUV he had just taken. How'd this happen? Well, it's not hard when the driver's door is open and the motor's running.
What we train our officers to do, though, is to lock and secure their vehicle when they exit it, of course.
Under any circumstances.
Under any circumstances.
Even when they jump out of their vehicles to get into a foot pursuit, as was the case earlier this morning.
It's not acceptable to have an emergency response vehicle in the hands of anyone other than a first responder.
Earlier this week, a similar incident involving a stolen LA Fire Department ambulance. It was stolen from California Hospital in downtown. The paramedics had parked in the emergency room parking bay, dropped off a patient. The ambulance was unattended. They're not saying if the motor was running, but the keys were inside. A woman walks by, jumps in, and takes off, and the pursuit is on, all the way to Orange County before she was finally stopped. The fire department is saying very little about that episode, only that it's under investigation, but the LAPD is giving details about how this one happened. Just before 1 this morning, the call went out. Burglary suspect running around near the corner of Hollywood and Ivar in Hollywood. When the officers pulled up in their SUV on scene, they were the second or third squad car to get here. They jumped out, motor running, and joined in the pursuit. Just about the same time, someone else, totally unrelated to the chase, was walking along the street, saw the car running, jumped in, and took off. About the same time, another squad car arrived and saw the whole thing happen, and they put out the call. LAPD SUV stolen.
B-34 has a stolen shop.
And that's how the officers, who were giving chase to another suspect, found out their SUV had been stolen.
How long ago was your shop taken, guys?
That chase ended in Woodland Hills. The suspect did turn on the lights and sirens during the chase, but he made no attempt to unlock the shotgun that was right next to him.
It is a discussion that you better believe has gone all the way up to the chief's office.
In both cases, no one was hurt. The ambulance was not damaged, and except for the 4 blown tires after it went over the spike strips, the SUV also was not damaged. Back to the studio.
All right, Dave, thank you. The man who is accused of attacking actress Jamie King's car was in court this morning. 47-year-old Paul Floyd pleaded not guilty. Police say Floyd smashed the windshield of King's car in Beverly Hills Wednesday. Investigators say he appeared to be targeting King's young son and a friend who were both in the car.
He was across the street and he was like yelling and like jumping up and down, and then he came out into the street and he was yelling, and like cars were coming and the car stopped because he was in the middle of the street, and he started banging on the hood of their car.
Floyd is being held on a $40,000 bail. He's expected back in court in a couple of weeks.
A child molester is resentenced and he'll be in jail for a lot longer. 3 years ago, a judge sentenced Kevin Jonas Rojano Nieto to 10 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 3-year-old girl. Back then, the judge ignored the state-mandated punishment. At the time, the judge said 25 years to life would be cruel and unusual punishment, but an appellate court disagreed. Today in Newport Beach, the 23-year-old was resentenced to 25 years. After the original sentence, people were outraged and there was an effort to recall the judge, but the effort failed.
A celebration at LA City Hall today for the men and women who helped rescue a 13-year-old who fell into a sewage line at Griffith Park. KCAL9's Randy Page is live in downtown LA with the mayor and honored those who saved Jesse Hernandez's life. Randy.
That's right, Lena, and among those who were being honored today, LAPD, LA City Fire Department, But I must tell you, we've been to these kinds of news conferences many times over the years, honoring first responders who've saved lives. This may be the very first time it's the Bureau of Sanitation that is really getting top honors here. After all, they were able to track where this little boy just might be in the system, open up the manhole cover, and save his life. Mayor Eric Garcetti is calling it an Easter miracle in the City of Angels.
Everyone in this city and in the Southland was praying for a miracle. For more than 12 hours, our incredible city family and the residents of Los Angeles pulled together. And because we have the best trained, most talented workers anywhere who brought their skills and training to this emergency, to the search, we got the miracle. And today, Jesse is safe and sound.
And here are two of those heroes. Their names Michael Adams and Kurt Boyer. These are the two workers for the Bureau of Sanitation who were able to pull Jesse out. They were able to meet him today. As for Jesse, well, he is a boy of few words and a little bit shy, but he wanted to make sure he thanked those who saved his life.
I'm so thankful for everybody who was involved in my rescue. Because of them, I'm back with my family. And God for giving me another chance to live.
Kurt Boyer, one of the workers who pulled Jesse out, made one of the comments I'll remember for a long time, and that is he was asked, what's it like inside the sewer? His answer, I've never been there. He said it's just horrible inside there, and he finally summarized his thoughts by looking at little Jesse and saying, that is the toughest kid I've ever seen. Let's go back to you.
Been through a lot, that's for sure, Randy. All right, thanks so much. Yosemite is closed today because of a major storm hitting up north. A river at the park's entrance is expected to rise nearly 15 feet, which is well above flood stage. Officials will assess conditions after the storm and decide when to reopen to visitors. Well, clouds are starting to move into our area, and rain may be on the way for those of us in Southern California as well. Meteorologist Craig Herrera is here now with the look at the forecast. Craig?
Hey there, Juan. Hey, Lena. Yeah, take a look. You're looking live right now over Santa Monica, and boy, people getting a good beach day in before things change like that tomorrow. Not a lot of rain, but boy, a lot of clouds and some cooler conditions from a 1-2 punch. You got one front moving through right now, and then this up to the north. Both of these are going to go up to the north, and they are getting hammered in the Bay Area. Lots of rain slamming the Bay Area, several inches, up to 8 inches in Marin County up to the north. By the way, the Dodgers are up in the Bay Area trying to play the Giants, but it has been postponed. Tonight's game has been postponed to the 28th, and tomorrow's game was pushed back a couple of hours to about 3:05. Bringing it back here locally, we do have wind advisories in place through Sunday for northwest winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Right now, we've got those winds at about 25 through the high deserts. That's where those wind advisories are in place through the weekend. Temperatures not so bad, 60s and 70s. Quick look at Futurecast, 9:30 tomorrow morning. Light scattered showers starting to move in through, especially for the foothills and into the mountains at 3:30. I'll continue with Futurecast in just a moment. Lena and Juan.
All right, Craig, thank you. There is no trade war. That's the message coming from inside the Trump administration concerning the escalating threats of tariffs between President Trump and officials in China. But as Weeta Jane reports, the calls to stay calm are not working for farmers or investors.
Blame China.
The war of words intensified, with the Trump administration pointing fingers of blame and China promising to counterattack with great strength if the U.S. moves forward with additional tariffs on imported Chinese goods.
Morning.
White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow says the real root of the problem is China stealing American technology.
They steal our technology, Eamon. They're stealing the guts of the American future. Right? Our innovation, our entrepreneurship.
China has already retaliated to U.S. threats by announcing $50 billion of tariffs on American exports, such as soybeans, pork, and aircraft. Its Ministry of Commerce says it doesn't want a trade war, but isn't afraid to fight one after President Trump threatened to up the ante with another $100 billion of tariffs on Chinese goods.
The president is going to actually do something and be tough when no one else has been willing to do this.
If we start moving down a path of tariffs, you're going to have a lot of collateral damage.
John Frisbee is the president of the U.S.-China Business Council and says these are issues better addressed through dialogue than tariffs.
This is a poker game right now. One side makes a play, the other side matches it. It's time to end the poker game and get into negotiations.
The White House says it's still optimistic about resolving the dispute, but that if it does lead to an all-out trade war, it will be because China refused to play by the rules. Weijia Jiang, the White House.
And those rising trade tensions were felt on Wall Street once again. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 572 points Friday, at one point dropping more than 600 points before rebounding slightly this afternoon.
The Trump administration announced a new round of sanctions against Russia. The move targets powerful Russian individuals and their businesses for what the administration calls a range of malign activity around the globe. The Treasury Department is going after Russian targets for the second time in a month. The latest round of sanctions affects 24 Russians, including some members considered to be in Russian President Vladimir Putin's inner circle, including his son-in-law and his bodyguard. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the latest sanctions doesn't change President Trump's desire to have a summit with the Russian president.
As the president has said, he wants to have a good relationship with Russia, but that's going to depend on some of the actions by the Russians. However, at the same time, the president is going to continue to be tough until we see that change take place, and we're going to continue working forward in what we can to have that meeting and have a meeting with Vladimir Putin at some point.
The sanctions are designed to show the Trump administration is tough on Russia. Since President Trump took office, the U.S. has targeted 189 people and entities with ties to Moscow.
Governor Brown says he's still waiting to decide if he'll send National Guard troops to the border, saying he needs more details. Governors in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas have already said they're in. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders was asked if troops will be deployed in the other states first.
Absolutely, we'll continue moving forward with the other border states. We're working with states' governors right now to go through this process, and we hope to have National Guard on the ground as soon as possible. And we're going to continue to work with California, and we're hopeful that they'll do the right thing and help protect our borders.
Is there timing?
There's not a specific time, but as soon as possible.
Under 4,000 that the president mentioned yesterday.
It's going to be as many as it takes. We're looking at what that needs to be, and we're going to move forward in the process. The president thinks that's a good first step to have 2,000 to 4,000, and if we determine that we need more, we'll make that decision at the time.
And just over an hour ago, Arizona's governor announced 150 of the state's National Guard members will be sent to the U.S.-Mexico border next week. And speaking of Border Patrol officers, the agency that oversees them says it has thousands of job openings it can't fill. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they currently have 19,000 agents, which is 2,000 less than their goal. President Trump would like the agency to hire 5,000 more agents if he can secure the funding. The CBP commissioner says that it would take 5 to 10 years to hire that many agents.
One day after creating quite a chaotic scene in Brooklyn, the notorious Conor McGregor tells it to a judge in a New York courtroom.
Plus, they say your brother will always have your back, and this 85-year-old man keeps that vow as he foils a would-be robber.
And after asking the app to change their ways, one local community is now looking to circumvent the rules.